Siege, Riley, Taz, yeah. Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down to go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake a lawyer? Why no water, that designer, baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real monster lives above them all, sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come. Yeah, here we come. Here we come. Here we come. Here we come. I used to think that people die because they wicked. Nowadays people wanna see you dead because you gifted. Been ready for my tomb since I came up out the womb. So no matter what, I'm coming back and paying you a visit. Saw it coming, I predicted, but y'all wouldn't listen. No, you can't protect your riches if you never burn bridges. Flip pages, went places, made changes, still dangerous. Now I'm back, altercation, hold still. I make it painless how it feel, baby. When you say you love me, is it real, baby? Full speed, both hands on the wheel, baby. Young Taz coming from the Mobile, baby. You know the drill, baby. Yeah. And when you hear the sound of the drum, we'll be saying, here we come. Yeah, here we come.
All right, what is up, guys? This is DDP, and this is, what are we talking here? Some Cowboys. I don't even have a name for the show off the top of my head. James, how you doing, man?
What's up, dog? I'm chilling. Great victory. You ready to go smack these Redskins, but feel good about getting those Giants and do what we're supposed to do.
Oh, 100%. This was a huge game for the Cowboys here coming out. And we felt pretty good about the team going in. And then, of course, the Zeke thing, once you had your full artillery, so to speak, we felt really good about it at that point. But as soon as you knew that we were going to be at full strength, then the question became, okay, how is this offense going to look? How is this team going to look? I think the offense really, really impressed pretty much to the highest possible level you could have anticipated, whereas the defense still left you wanting a little bit of something. How did you feel about that?
Pretty much everything that you said. The offense, we did the live stream, and when the Giants came down to score it, I was frustrated because, it was only the few players that they had. They only had three players in my heart: Shepard, Ingram, and Barkley.
Yeah,
those were going to be the three main factors, and those are the ones that had the best games on their team. But when they scored the first touchdown, my first thought was, we need to go ahead and smack these dudes. Like, they're not good. This isn't a game where we keep them in the game like we use. We've so many times we've seen Cowboys do we're heads and shoulder better than this team, but it ends up being a 17-14 game. It's in a Maher's situation where you're relying on him. No, you blow these teams out, you smash these teams, and it doesn't matter if, it was the Giants and they had the worst defense last year and they were the worst defense in the NFC East. Nobody cares about that. You did what you're supposed to do. Offense, all cylinders, 5 touchdowns, no field goals. That's what I like seeing, because so many times we have got field goals in the game, and it's like, really? Seriously? We're better than them? And drives are stalling. If you look at our first 3 touchdowns, I believe, those were all, 7 plays and up drives. They were long drives that we were scoring touchdowns. How many times do we take 10-play drives and kick a field goal? You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And then just to bounce off with the defense. Yeah, I think the defense played uneven. But I feel like, Marcus Lawrence hadn't been there all season, all preseason, and pretty much all camp. He's getting back in the flow. You got a lot of moving new parts getting in there. You got Covington in there, Hyder. You got new guys in there. Quinn, who you brought in, is not out. Crawford, who pretty much missed all preseason. So you got guys that no Gregory. Sean Lee is still coming back from injury. So you got guys that are still coming back in the fold on defense. I feel like you're going to see a totally different defensive performance. I think they took that personal. You're going to see a different defense against the Redskins. But all in all, I was happy on, defense definitely should have been better, especially in that run game.
Yeah.
But overall, satisfied that we blew them out, and that's what you're supposed to do against bad teams.
Exactly. And at the Cowboys experience on Saturday, Lincoln Coleman actually said it really well. When your opponent's a punk, you treat him like a punk. And I felt like, at least offensively, we did that to the Giants defense, because I don't know if you saw, I shared apparently the Giants Twitter handle decided to share a picture of their defensive backs and basically calling it like a no-fly zone and all that. That's unfortunate for them, because we had two guys go for more than 100 on them, and a third who was nearby was 69. But
see that type of stuff though, DDP. When you see that kind of stuff, I laugh at that stuff because you don't got nobody back there. You feel me? Dudes out there that are talking that trash, okay, but y'all don't really. Janoris Jenkins, he's an afterthought now. He was the guy before, but he's not the guy now. I knew Amari Cooper or whoever was going against him was going to take advantage of him, because now
he bites a lot too on routes.
And you got an offensive coordinator who's going to see that. You don't have a Scott Linehan who's going to stay stubborn and say, this is the matchup, I'm killing him, let's go do this, instead of saying, no, we're going to run this play. Now you got an offensive coordinator who's young, energetic, and sees that. And when the quarterback comes off the field, hey, we're seeing this matchup, we're killing them. Guess what's going to happen? Moore's going to set up some really nice plays to attack that. And and that's what gets you excited. You don't see Noah Brown going in motion on 3rd down and 1, and you know the play. You get what I'm saying?
100%.
And that, and I think that's what all the Cowboys fans were excited about more than anything. That's what had me excited, is the movement. And this is what Kellen Moore said he was going to do. He said, I'm not going to be doing all kind of new concepts. I'm going to be doing a lot of formations, a lot of movement, a lot of things where you're keeping the defense off balance. We never want the defense to know what we're doing.
Sure.
And I think that's what you really saw in that Giants game.
The motion pre-snap in this game was off the charts. I mean, it was, I think I saw at least 30% higher than our season average from last year. And that had a big part of it. I mean, I know the first drive stalled out around midfield, but other than that, after that, it was 5 straight touchdown scoring drives for the Cowboys. And yeah, I mean, we mentioned the defense. The Giants started up 7-0 in this game because on the Giants' second snap, Saquon rips off about either 56 or 59, I forget. 59-yard run, and then they end up capping it off with a touchdown pass to Evan Ingram. That I think that shows kind of the danger they could eventually be. Their offensive line does look improved for the Giants, but for the Cowboys, I loved the response from Dak and the rest of the team. They came out and they were aggressive.
Attacked.
Yes, absolutely. And the Cowboys, in the first half, the Cowboys threw 33 pass attempts to, I think, 13 carries. That's where we stood. And not even just in the first half. I think that's where we stood for the game. It was, because Zeke had 13 carries. Pollard had some. But as far as the Zeke usage, it was about 32 passes for Dak compared to 13 carries for Zeke. Substantially higher on that side. And the Cowboys stringing together 5 straight touchdown passes. You saw completions of 62 yards, 28-yard touchdown pass to Blake Jarwin. You saw a 40-something yarder to Amari Cooper at one point, I think as well, for a touchdown maybe. I might be slightly mistaken on that one. But I mean, Randall Cobb, I mean, they hit 25, 28, 46, I think, and then 62 on their deep plays. The Cowboys were moving the ball and moving it well. They had 17 first downs in the first half and 305 yards. That is off the charts for what this offense has been in recent years. And Dak at halftime was sitting there 20 of 26 for 256 yards, most yards he's ever thrown in the first half ever, and 3 touchdowns, no picks, 12.8 a pop. I mean, that is aggressive, and that is the Kellen Moore effect, which, as you said, that is something that has been a substantial addition to the team that wasn't initially looked at in the most glowing light. When we saw Kellen Moore was going to be the guy, all of us looked at it like he was a quarterback's coach for 1 year. 2 years ago, he was a backup quarterback who never played. How is this guy your guy? But when you actually look at it a little closer, you're like, okay, maybe he does know a little something. And after Sunday, you already got people talking about him and trying to see how do we move him up as the head coach in a couple of years after Garrett? How do we orchestrate that?
The overreaction fans,
100%.
the haters that were hating on him, those are the ones that are quick to say, oh, they love him. They're the fans you want to stay away from. Hey, don't be that fan, please. Don't be that fan.
Right.
Okay. Think logically. And some people jumped on my page. I made a post earlier and said, pretty much saying Kellen Moore is that guy. People are jumping on my page, slow down, pump the brakes. It's only one game. I know that. I'm not freaking dumb. I know it's only one daggone game. But what have we been saying? And so here's the thing. We got on Linehan last year because he was throwing the ball too much with Dak.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get Kellen Moore, who was throwing the ball, and we loved it. Isn't that funny? Kellen Moore did the same thing, but
Yeah.
it was aggressive how he was doing it. It wasn't the same type of plays over and over again. It was a variety. It was a mix-up. It was the motion. It was a lot of the formations. It was keeping the defense off balance, and that's what made Dak comfortable, and he looked comfortable and strong in that pocket. Offensive line played great, especially when you had Zach Martin, who's that back injury is a concern. He didn't even play in the second half.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that is something that is definitely not recognized by a lot of people, is that he sat out. But in this game,
no sacks either.
Yeah, exactly. That is monstrous, as you call that out. So a team that gave up 56 sacks last season. 56. It's not the highest. I think it was the second highest, behind only Deshaun Watson with Houston.
62.
Yeah, 62. Good Lord. Dak, in his career previous to last year, had been sacked, I think, 57 combined times. He got 56 last year alone. And so the offensive line giving up 0 sacks in this game, and I think he got hit only twice. Like, they kept him clean. Part of that's Travis Frederick coming back, and part of that is I just think them having a good
game plan
and rhythm and everything with it. And in this game, Dallas, we mentioned already that they went on 5 straight scoring drives after their opening drive stalled at midfield. In the first half, they were 5 of 6 on third down. New York didn't convert their first third down until the second half. Like, that is monstrous for this game. But we should also acknowledge where kind of an early turning point in this game was, and that was when New York had 3rd and 1 from the Dallas 36, and you had Dallas get the timeout in when they had 12 men on the field. They got the timeout in just before the snap, avoids the penalty, automatic first down, and on the snap, Eli actually, because they run a naked bootleg, LVE chases down Eli, forces him into an intentional grounding. So now not only is it not the penalty that they wanted, but now they're looking at instead a 10-yard loss and loss of down. So at that point, you go from an automatic first down to one play later, well, now we got to punt the ball. Like, that was a huge turning point in the game, because at the time it's 7-7 and New York is driving. They're deep into Dallas territory, nearly in the red zone. That was a huge turning point early on, I felt. And Dallas never looked back, man. Again, when you're converting on third down, when you're hitting and Dak throwing the ball the way he was, it's just that was a thing of beauty. And it was very reminiscent in some regards to last year's finale in New York, which, if you recall, I think was also Kellen Moore calling those plays.
And also Zeke didn't play in that game.
Yep, and that is another thing. But that shows you Kellen Moore calling plays for Dak. Granted, both games against the Giants, who are not in a good place right now. Back-to-back 400-plus yard games with at least 3 TDs in each of them, like passing TDs. Like, that says a lot, I think, in terms of how well they compare together and how well Kellen Moore understands how to use Dak to his strengths.
Well, I said it in the beginning that this is Dak's year to really prove. I mean, if you look at Dak Prescott's career, just coming in as a rookie, he has something to prove every year, but I think this is the apex. This is the time where he can really just prove it and just hush everybody else up around him, because his rookie year, nothing was expected.
Yeah.
And everybody still had the Romo hangover, but he played so good, you kind of gave him a pass. You didn't expect that. You had a phenomenal year. Romo left. Okay. But then the next year, Romo's gone now. Bullseye's all on Dak Prescott now, because Romo's gone. He's out of the organization. Yeah. So now you have an uneven year. Dak doesn't play good. Now you're going to say, oh, hold up. He might not even be this dude we thought he was. He's whack. Look at him, blah, blah, blah. So then you come his third year. He has the uneven part. Cowboys start surrounding him with some players. He bounces back, and Hart has a really good year. So you don't really see where Dak Prescott has been a terrible quarterback. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this year, when they said, we do believe in you, we want to make you the best you can, so we're going to put all these pieces around you. And now I feel like it's the time well done. It's the work that's been put in, and I just feel like you're seeing the results. And I just feel like that's not what they say, an anomaly. Right. What happened this Sunday? I don't feel like that's just one game that he's going to do. He's going to have a career year. I said it before. He's going to have a career year, because the stuff I'm just seeing him moving in the pocket now. Defense is going at him, hitting people on long bombs. I mean, talking about our receiving core, I know hate on Cole Beasley, but Randall Cobb stays healthy. He adds a huge element to the passing game. You
4 for
see
69 and a touchdown.
You get what I'm saying? But it wasn't just the catches, it was his presence.
Yep.
Because he is established. He was established in this league. He had big years with Green Bay.
Pro Bowl
2014.
Pro.
You know what I'm saying? He had big years with Aaron Rodgers. So he's not like he came over here like chopped liver. And he's on a 1-year deal. He's out to prove I'm still got it and I want to get another contract. That's the great thing that the Cowboys actually do have. You don't want to have all these guys on their 1-year deals, but you're going to get the best out of them because they want to play for another contract. So you're in a good state because they're going to give you their best, and that's what we're going to see. And just the mojo that Dak has with his receiving core, Gallup, we could have one of the best receiving cores in the NFL. And not like why can't we have like a top 5 receiving core with Cobb, Cooper, and Gallup? Come on now, why not? And I want to get another.
100% can, and that's one of those things too. Is you mentioned earlier this is not an anomaly for Dak. It's really not, because while people want to say, "Hey, it's one game," don't put it out ahead there. Don't say like pay Dak now. It's one game. Marcus Mosher points out on Twitter, since the Amari Cooper trade, Dak Prescott's last 12 games now, 292 of 414. That is a 70.5% completion percentage, 3,329 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 196 rushing yards, 6 rushing touchdowns, and a passer rating of 107.3. Since Amari Cooper came here, since he got a true number 1 receiver to help draw a little bit more of that attention away and open things up for them, Dak Prescott has been a machine for this team. And that's the thing you got to tell people is like, they don't see that. They only look at that. They treat everything as if it's in its own bubble. And sometimes they're looking at the past 2017 when they want to talk about those 6 games in which, he really, really struggled, or the first half of last year, how the offense as a whole struggled. They don't ever want to look at what the team has been since literally last October when talking about the state of the team. And that's a big mistake, I think, because I think you're overlooking, not you, but they are overlooking so much quality football that we have. Everything is in place for this team to compete, I think, not just this year, but beyond this year. I mean, we got to see how some of these contracts pan out in the end, but they are in a great position to do great things now. And a lot of that has to do with, yes, Dak Prescott.
They need to pay him, though, because he's still, people have been saying this, and, it's been in my head, too, that, Ezekiel Elliott held out. These other guys played hardball with Jerry Jones, and they got their money. And Dak Prescott has kind of like been the good soldier, and and I feel like, you need to go ahead and reward him because he did everything you wanted him to do in this organization. He's done everything you wanted to do from day one. He's kept the anthem. He's kept the motto. He's kept everything that you wanted. I'm not talking about the anthem like no damn flag, but I'm talking about the mantra of the Dallas Cowboys. You get what I'm saying? So
yes.
I feel like you need to pay this man. I mean, we don't want to get crazy, but you made that deal work for Ezekiel. You made that deal work for DeMarcus Lawrence. You made it work for Tony Romo. You made it work with these other guys. You need to make it work with Dak Prescott. You don't need to see 16 more games, Sam, but maybe you do. I don't think so. I just feel like I'm not just getting geeked up about this one game. I feel like this was his time. And I feel like he's going to show everybody this is time. And as I said before, we can have Ezekiel Elliott rush for 2,000 yards. That don't mean nothing if Dak Prescott don't do nothing. And if Dak Prescott plays lights out this year, I don't see why we don't go Super Bowl. And it's not something that you're just saying. I don't see why. Who's going to stop us? Our defense is going to play better.
Run defense hopefully catches up.
Yeah. Who needs to play more is Covington. Covington needs to play more. I know they like some Antoine Woods, but Covington is bigger than him, and he's ultra aggressive as well. He gives us size in that middle. So I think, we need to get him on that field more. Also, I like Joe Thomas in there. But I feel like the defense is going to be okay, and it's going to catch up. But I just feel like Dak Prescott keep playing the way he is. We're going to be that unstoppable team. Like we was running the way we ran through the league in 2016, but it's going to be even better because now you have your quarterback who is light years, hopefully better than we saw him in 2016. I feel like we're seeing the maturation of Dak Prescott. And it just, to me, gets you excited as a Cowboys fan because now you feel like that was the one thing. That was the one thing that was really can Dak do it? You knew he's a winner, but
Yeah.
can he do it consistently? That's what everybody wanted, the consistency. And he keeps on consistently doing what he's doing. Ain't nobody beating us, dog.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And when Dak, I mean, that's the thing is Dak, even though he ended up the day 25 of 32 for 405 pass yards, 4 touchdowns.
And Cooper dropped 2.
Yeah, Cooper dropped 2. That's worth noting as well. Even though he had that phenomenal day, in fact, that's what stopped the streak of 5 straight touchdown drives. Is that midfield he dropped one on 3rd and 5. But yeah, that was a perfectly placed pass. Outside of the first quarter, where some of Dak's passes were maybe a little bit timing off or a little bit behind the guy and the receivers, like Blake Jarwin, perfect example of his 28-yard touchdown, the first one of the game for Dallas. It was a floater. It was behind him. The rhythm, the timing wasn't quite right. It seemed like from that moment on, he kind of dialed in, and then all of a sudden you see dimes. His 45-yard completion to Michael Gallup was an absolute beauty. I mean, probably the best. I don't know. I was just about to say it's the best pass I've ever seen him throw, but that one he threw to Amari Cooper in the end zone was pretty sweet too. Some of the best passes I've ever seen from Dak were in this one single game. I mean, just perfect rhythm, perfect timing, and just placing it right on the numbers. Gallup's 62-yarder is another one. Hits him in perfect stride and lets Gallup just get out and outrun a couple dudes, get 62 yards down the field before he's hauled down. Those are big money plays. And that's the thing. I wrote today, I submitted my article, I hadn't posted yet, for Clutch Points, talking specifically about the Dak Prescott contract situation. And we look like, it looks like there's something going to be figured out this week. Jerry even alluded to that it's, quote, imminent. And, he does it in Jerry speak, which means there's a whole lot of start and stop, and a lot of different pauses and different things to sort through. But all the same, that's what I wrote about in the article, and it was basically saying, look, if you ask a guy, it's what I've been saying all along, really. If you ask a guy to prove it, whether it's one game, whether it's a whole season, and he goes out there and proves it, you're going to have to pay a higher price than you initially thought. We saw it with DeMarcus Lawrence. If they had not franchised him that year, they would have had him at $16 million a year. But they franchised him, and now it's almost $21 million a year, because he proved it. So it's great that a guy goes out there and proves it, but you got to understand that price tag moves up. And I basically caution, although it looks like Dallas will get it sorted out very quickly with Dak, hey, if you're afraid of paying him 33 or whatever Goff is getting, whatever Wentz is getting, and you want to stick to that 30 firmly, those $3 million aren't going to matter if he gives you another full season of work, and suddenly you're looking, no matter if you like it or not, more along those Russell Wilson numbers around 35, because if you were willing to give him 30 before, if he adds his best year of his career, how are you going to argue not to give him closer to the money he wants?
I mean, I agree. It's just the waiting game. Pay the man now. You know what I'm saying? I've been looking at the comments, Miss Pro Scotty. It's good to see you. I missed you so much. I was waiting for you. It was good to see you. And yes, you're talking about the defensive line. Did look shabby. First of all, let's break this down about that defensive line. First of all, if you've been listening to the show, Miss Scotty Pro, I definitely never liked Crawford. I've been saying you need to cut him and you need to play those young guys, especially Joe Jackson. I definitely feel like he's a talent no matter what you tell me. Joe Jackson is a talent, and I'm not going to say guarantee, but if you let Joe Jackson play all year, you will see a lot more out of Joe Jackson than you will see out of a Tyrone Crawford, because he's already peaked. DeMarcus Lawrence just came back from injury. He ain't played all camp. Yeah. You ain't gonna expect him to come out and just dominate. That's not reality. You ain't did nothing in camp. You're gonna come out slow. He didn't even like his performance. He still got a half a sack though for being shabby, not doing anything. And like I said, Covington needs to get more work. I like Woods, but I think Covington's a better player. I think Woods played out of his mind last year, but he's not somebody you're gonna sign to no big deal.
No.
You get what I'm saying? He's not that dude. And I feel like Covington right now, even though Covington's not a star-type player, I feel like he gives us more as far as interior size. And I think Collins, he need to play better. I didn't even see him in the box yesterday, or Crawford or Collins neither one of those guys were in the box yesterday. So I definitely feel like you need to get some more time. And Quinn will be back after the Washington game, so we'll be able to see what Quinn is going to bring to the table as well. Dorrance Armstrong Jr., he had the sack on Eli Manning. Pissed me off how he missed that sack. There's no way you should have.
Letting Eli, of all people, do that to you.
No way you should have missed that. But like I said, the Giants do got strong weapons. Every team doesn't have a Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
If everybody had a Saquon Barkley, teams would be better. But not everybody's a Saquon Barkley. And no, I don't think Adrian Peterson, even though Geis got hurt, I don't think Adrian Peterson is going to run wild on us. I just don't believe he is. I feel like the defense is going to have a bounce back game. They're going to play a lot better because I feel like they did take that game personal because they didn't look great. But you know what I'm saying? Rome wasn't built in a day. Defenses can bounce back. Just like an offense can look shabby and then next 5 weeks go crazy. Are you going to think about that first game that they look crappy on, or are you going to remember the last 5 they look great on?
Exactly. And, you know, I mean, we talked earlier about Saquon on his second snap. The first snap was a pass to him, and he actually fumbles it.
I appreciate your yawn.
That was a good – that was the one thing I thought the defense did really well is they forced 3 fumbles on the day. So that was nice. They didn't get any picks. I would have liked that. Of course, we mentioned 1 sack. That needs to go up, certainly. Dorrance missed the 1, but even then, I would say 2 is not enough against the Giants. Mm-hmm. But Barkley in general, when the score was still 21-10, that dude had 8 touches for 108 yards. Like, that dude is a monster to take down. And I texted you earlier today, and I was like, dude, imagine if he was actually on a good team. Like, imagine him on a Kansas City or a New Orleans, how he would look. It's amazing when you take him off of a not trash team. I don't think the Giants are complete trash. I think that they're a step above, and they're moving in the right general vague direction. But it still is what it is. They got a ways to go, I think. But I mean, their
defense is trash.
Yeah, that secondary was.
I mean, and
garbage.
they pretty much lost all their defensive line. Remember back in the day, they've been known about their defensive front.
Yep.
And that front is no longer there. And I think when you can't rush the passer, any team in the league, you can't rush the passer and you can't do anything on that front, you're going to get beat. So that's why the Cowboys do need to tighten it up on the defensive end, but I believe they will. Like I said, we've seen the defense get better, especially play better in those big games. And I think you got the Packers coming up, you got the Saints coming up, and those are going to be some big games coming up. So this is some good prep work going against the Redskins because I feel like Case Keenum, he ain't no terrible quarterback. He ain't a bum. I feel like he gives the Redskins a better option than when we played against Colt McCoy last year.
Yeah.
I knew we were going to destroy them because nobody fearing no Colt McCoy. Not that you're fearing a Case Keenum, but he can do some damage against you if you play around with him. You've seen how they jumped up on the Philadelphia Eagles just like they did, but they the Redskins. They start getting high and mighty, and they start falling off right after that. So I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be in Washington. They're going to be amped up. They beat us there last year, so it's going to be a exciting game. But I think one that the Cowboys are still going to come in and I feel like they're still going to smack around the Redskins once they kind of jump on top of them, because the Redskins once they start getting down a touchdown or two, they pretty much be cooked because Gruden, he's just not a good coach to me.
Yeah, no, I largely agree with all of that. I see there's debate going on in the comments.
She always talking about what
Adrian
he
Peterson
gonna
and
do.
his
Blah blah blah.
Hey, I'm an OU guy, and I believe
Blah,
in
blah,
Adrian
blah.
Peterson about as much as anybody, but I don't know if he's got another 100-yard game against us. I mean, I agree.
That offensive line?
Yeah, and especially because we don't even know yet. Is Trent Williams for sure back yet?
I don't even think Trent Williams is back, and they still got Eric Flowers out there.
Oh,
you know what
man.
I'm saying? And they got their offensive line isn't even great. You get what I'm saying? And nobody's even saying our defensive line is great, but it's not terrible, and I don't feel like no Adrian Peterson is going to kill us in the game.
No, and he didn't kill us at all last year. Now, he was solid against us in 2 performances, I guess. I mean, they got us that first time in Washington.
He had a one big long run in that game in the first game.
Exactly.
In the Washington game, he had one big long run. After that, he didn't really do anything after that. He had one long run. Watch the game.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll preview that game when we get to it, but yeah, it's one of those things too. One of the big things for the Cowboys coming out of this game as well, I did see something today about Randall Cobb dealing with a little bit of a rib injury.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little unclear on his status because I think it was something you shared. The tweet was vague with the multiple phrases in parentheses talking about his status. I was like trying to process through that. Like, wait a minute. So they're saying he's day or he's might miss time, might not miss time. Like, what are you trying to tell me? You can't give this many hypotheticals and this many qualifiers in a single thing and expect me to follow it in the world of Twitter, at least, without multiple messages. But in the game, the Cowboys didn't have any injuries that I saw. The one scary hit I saw, and I made a note of this when it happened, was Jeff Heath accidentally going up high on Leighton Vander Esch. Did you? That was a scary play there, because just the way Leighton bends back, and we know about his neck. I mean, that was the whole thing we had about him in the draft, was the supposed spinal stenosis in his neck, and we know he has that neck pad roll and all that. Now he swears, according to Troy Aikman in the broadcast, he swears that that's not because of an actual injury or anything like that. He just likes it.
That's what he said. I mean, that's what he said. He said he's just kind of grown with it. Because, I mean, honestly, think about like Rip Hamilton. I mean, after he broke his nose,
mask, yeah,
he just said he just got comfortable with it, and he was used to it, and it just felt like it was him now. So it just became a part of him, and that's just why he wore it. That could be with LVE. It became a thing that I got used to playing with it, and now I feel weird without it.
Yeah.
So it's that mental thing. You know how them players are. They start getting that kind of superstitious thing type of maybe happening going on. But I mean, he still had 10 tackles, I believe.
Oh, he was a beast. I mean, he didn't have a perfect day.
He did
get beat on the Ingram touchdown pass.
Yeah.
And he failed to fill the hole in the early
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley 59-yarder. But other than that, 10 tackles, a pass defended, a half a sack. I mean, he was a beast outside of those two.
He still got to get better though, because people. I think what people tend to do with these rookies is after they have a phenomenal year, you kind of just feel like they've made it, and they haven't made it at all. And he's still got a lot of things he's got to learn in his game. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So they still got to continue to step up and get better. And just like you said, he can't be having, even though you had a solid game where you have 10 tackles, you still had a big game where a running back shouldn't have been able to do that against us. You get what I mean?
Yep. What up,
that
my Cowboys family?
That's what has to stop is the Cowboys always, number one, we always got to maintain and stop that run. You get what I'm saying? So the Cowboys have to stay on that, and they have to be cognizant of stopping the run.
Yes, 100% agree. Let me ask you this. Now, this is something I've noticed, and I see Miss Scouting Pro mentioning it in the comments. This is something I've observed for the past 2 years. Let me know if you feel kind of the same way on this. When you're watching a Cowboys game, do you feel like the broadcasters have a tendency to kind of frame things in a negative Dak light? By which I mean, even when he hits a deep ball pass, they might say,
what a pass.
Not that. I mean, they did say that, which was great when he hit that dime to Gallup. They did say that, but you'll hear Troy in particular, Troy Aikman, say something along the lines of like, oh, that's a good pass, but it's a little short. If he leads them, that's to the house. Or you'll hear something where it's like, oh, pass a little bit behind him, but a great thing. Even if we're talking like, instead of right on the face, like here. Like sometimes it seems like the slightest, it's like they know the general storylines around players and the talking points, and then they just beat those to death in the games. Because it seems like the last 2 years I've counted, I mean, I obviously counted them all through last year. I'm guessing I think I'm somewhere in the 14-15 range where I see Dak make a good play, and then rather than just say, oh, great throw by Prescott, they want to give it either some kind of qualifier or be like, it's a good throw, but a better throw, and that's a touchdown or something to that effect. And it's just like, dude, we hear that enough from the Dak haters. We don't need it framed that way. Like if Tom Brady made that same pass, you're not going to be like, a little bit behind him. You'll be like, oh, what a play, like. I observe that. I don't know. Do you see that as well, or am I insane?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. We started doing them watch parties, and we started just tuning them dudes out. We started just doing all daggone thing and go back to commentating the game. Because I mean, I like Troy Aikman. I'm always like Aikman, but I don't be knowing about Aikman. He's people have told me that even when he's around like doing autographs and stuff, he's like real kind of not the dude that you want to be around. You get what I'm saying? He's like not that guy. He's real standoffish. So I could see a Troy Aikman doing that. You get what I mean? But at the end of the day, I don't care. Let y'all keep talking. My thing is now I don't care. Talk all your trash you want, because let Dak continue to just to feed off the trash talking, because it seems like he did. If you listen to Dak Prescott, he said he's had dealt with this his whole life. He's dealt with everybody doubting him, and he said he's played his position, and they've all come at him like, we don't think you can do this, or we don't think you can do that. And everywhere he's gone, he's gotten better and succeeded. And he's put teams on his back when there was nothing, and they got better, and he took them to the top of the apex. I feel like he's right there not right there as far as his quarterback. He still has a ways to go.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's headed in the right direction. They got the right people around him, and he's going to continue to ascend, and he's going to continue to make our team better. And as I said before, You want to have a Ezekiel Elliott. There's nothing wrong with having an all-pro type running back there, but your team cooks with that quarterback. That quarterback continues to make plays in that passing game with his feet and his arms. That just makes that run game and everything else so much better because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that they do have all the pieces for Dak to finally put it all together now. I think they finally have a system that's not completely buried in the 90s. We know that. Even when we had Scott Linehan there, I feel like even Scott Linehan was somewhat restricted by what Garrett was kind of imposing. I think this is kind of a situation where with the hiring of Kellen Moore and it kind of being understood, like, all right, this is a make or break year for you, Garrett. Like, literally, anything short of the NFC Championship, maybe barring like catastrophic injury like we saw in 2015, you're done. I feel like that's the stakes, is that if they fall short, like, let me put it this way. If the Cowboys have a season like the Bears last year and they're one clunked field goal away from going to the conference championship or something, or was the Bears the opening round? I forget, but you get my point. If they flame out early in the playoffs, even because of something, just the kicker missing a kick, I don't think Jason Garrett has the leeway to survive that at this point. I think unless there is like catastrophic injury, it is conference championship or bust for him. And with that being the case, I think that he's forced to kind of hand over more control and everything to Kellen Moore. And I think you mix that with John Kitna working with Dak on his mechanics and everything, and just having a better relationship between them, which we talked about last show. I think you're finally starting to see an unleashed Dak Prescott, which other than one damn game last year, we never really got a chance to see until now. So if Dak is in the contract discussions right now based on what he did before in a system that didn't play to his strengths, that's why I wrote today, like, you need to get that damn contract done today pretty much if you can, because the more games like this he racks up and shows you the potential, because when you pay a guy, you're paying not just what he's done, you're paying what you project and anticipate he can do. So with what he's showing you, and if you finally have all the pieces, the star running back locked up, the true number one receiver, and a system that will play to his strengths and good play calling, you're going to have the best version of Dak Prescott. And if the previous version was already worth more than $30 million, you don't want to see over the course of a full year how much higher of a bill he can rack up for the Cowboys, I'm saying.
Well, we're about to see, with that head coaching thing. Shout out to my Cowboys family. How you doing? I got to hope y'all had a great time at that game. It was lovely seeing y'all out there. I'll be out there in a couple of weeks, that Miami game. We're going to be out there kicking at DDP. And going to be getting out to those other games too. But shout out to y'all. How y'all doing? But, this coaching situation is finicky to me because you say he don't have leeway. I wonder how it's going to pan out, because as we were talking off air, I told you, I feel like Kellen Moore is going to be the new head coach. I feel like they're grooming him like they groomed Garrett. They groomed Garrett as this offensive genius when they brought him from Miami. They groomed him as this genius, and the Baltimore Ravens, remember when they was going after him, they paid him all that extra money to be an offensive coordinator. He was getting big dollars. He was like the next great thing. And Dallas, what they do? They promoted him, slid him right on in as a head coach, but they prepped him. You get what I'm saying? I feel like they're prepping Kellen Moore the same way. What I'm wondering is, because he's only 1 year in the game, and let's say this Cowboys offense stays explosive all year, but like you said, they don't get to the apex or they miss out, then are you ready to go? Because what my thing is, why would they go to the outside? They don't really go and get outsiders anymore. They like building from within. They like keeping everything within, whether it be the players. They like being homegrown people. That's what the Cowboys like doing. So it would be hard for me to see them going picking somebody from the outside, learning everything that they've already have the culture that they feel like they're trying to create.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like Kellen Moore is the guy they're trying to build it up. So if Garrett doesn't do it, do they feel comfortable with trying to elevate him after only 1 year? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then people will bring up Chris Richard. I just don't feel like they're going to bring Chris Richard as the head coach. Not saying anything.
I don't think he's waiting either. I think we were lucky to keep him this year.
I think he's probably this is his last year on the contract. He stayed that 1 more year. So I just feel like if they have another good year, we probably gonna see the last of Chris Richard. But they're not gonna let go of Kellen Moore. Yeah. They're not gonna lose him no matter what. Yeah. So they're gonna do everything to protect him, money wise or whatever. It's just gonna be interesting to see how the season pans out. If Garrett doesn't get there, what are they going to do? Will they bring Garrett back again because they feel like, well, we don't feel like Kellen Moore is ready, so now we keep Garrett and make him like the lame duck coach, because that does happen in the NFL.
Sure. And the thing is, Garrett's been here a long time, man. We brought him in 2007 as an offensive coordinator, and already before we even hired Wade, he was already the head coach in waiting. We named him head coach in waiting before even hiring Wade as the head coach. It's like, here's your offensive coordinator, by the way. We already hired him for you, and he's coming for your job. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I feel like you really believe in him.
You were at a great patting you on the shoulder, but this is the guy. He's the next guy, just so you know. So don't mess up, because you're gonna get fired.
Right.
He's gonna be
exactly. And I mean, we saw how that played out. But yeah, I agree. I think Chris Richard, if the Cowboys defense has another good year, because at this point it's well known that Richard is the one calling plays. It's not Rod Marinelli anymore. Rod Marinelli is technically the defensive coordinator, but it's Chris Richard calling the plays, and that was the case even last year. I don't recall exactly when that change took place. I feel like it happened early in the year, though. But Richard is the one calling plays, so it's not even just like losing him for another defensive coordinator job. It's going to be losing him for a head coaching job. I mean, I was kind of surprised he ended up not going with like Miami, or was he tied to Cleveland at all? I think Cleveland was already locked on Freddie Kitchens, but still. It's one of those.
I think that defensive performance against the Rams kind of just made him
lowered his value a little bit.
It was the hot commodity. Everybody loves you, but then you get your defense gets gashed like that. You become hot and you become cold real quick.
Mm-hmm.
They simmer down on you like, well, we don't know if you're really ready yet. That's
Fair
what
enough.
Probably could have happened. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know if Chris Richard. I would love to see him have the opportunity as a head coach. We'll see how that pans out, but I don't know if they'll elevate him like that. I feel like they might try to continue to stick him as the coordinator for a little bit.
I would love to keep him. I would
love to keep him too. You got to pay, and they don't have no salary for coaches, so I don't know why you can't. But he wants an opportunity, and you can't fault that. He wants the opportunity to probably be a head coach.
Yeah, for some guys, money isn't everything. It becomes
opportunity,
the title and the influence or power over the team at that point. So yeah, I can totally feel that.
Eastside Harold's here.
Who we got here?
Yeah, Eastside Harold. I appreciate it. I was talking about you. Eastside Harold was going to see if you was going to be in the show. He's a Texans fans. You know, they lost tonight. But I ain't hating. But y'all was winning all game.
Yes, sir.
The boys came back and beat you.
Salute to Cavos as well, new subscriber I just saw pop up.
You seen Dak, didn't you?
Definitely did. But yeah, I think with Richard, they're probably looking at losing him. Now, I would like to see the secondary create more turnovers, like interceptions and things like that this year. That's one thing that is still, we weren't good at that last year. I'd like to see that step forward. I think we got a couple guys with the capability of doing that. We've talked about not so much Awuzie. I mean, he's shown the athleticism, but he wasn't a high interception guy in college. But we definitely think Woods has that potential.
Woods and Lewis.
Yes. And I liked that we saw more Lewis. Now, I know that was in part because
of
Byron Jones.
Yeah. But that's the problem, man. I don't get it. Like, I watched Anthony Brown. He's not a bad player.
Yeah.
Like, he's not. He has the speed, but where do you keep on thinking that he's better than Jordan Lewis? Like, Jordan Lewis
certainly
makes
not
plays.
At tackling Saquon.
You know what I'm saying? Jordan Lewis makes plays. Is Jordan Lewis perfect? No, but he makes plays. When you get him in the game and he plays a lot, he makes plays. He's a playmaker in my eyes. He's always been. Even at Michigan, I watched him when he was in his high school thing. He was a receiver, so he knows how to play the receiver. So it's just like, man, get Jordan Lewis in that game. He brings that element. I love the attitude that he brings. When he was in the all or nothing, he has that moxie.
Yeah.
And I feel like the defense will feed off that. And I feel like you keep him playing in that game, things happen in the secondary when he's around that. When he's in the game, things just happen.
Yeah, I made a note earlier in the game yesterday. He had a great pass breakup in the end zone that ended up being 3 points for the Giants. I mean,
it was huge.
Yeah, that was huge. He held them to that field goal, and I know the game ended up being 35-17, but he held them to that field goal. So it was 35-10 at half, and not half, excuse me, going into the fourth quarter, the game was done. I mean, it was done really at half, but it shows that even though the defense didn't have a great day, especially the defensive front dealing with Saquon, you still had quality performances. We talked about LVE earlier. there were a lot of guys there that had their moments, I felt. I don't think anyone had a all-around bad game necessarily, but I think there were standouts as well, and I did make a note of Jordan Lewis in particular in that case. So I'd like to see him get more opportunity because I think he's got a lot more than we've even asked him to show. I mean, look at the Saints game last year. He was huge in that game, dealing with Alvin Kamara.
I mean, he didn't have a bad rookie year. I thought he had a pretty decent rookie year. And, he had expectations, but we all saw what happened the last year. But I feel like, he's the type of kid that I met him. I talked to him a couple of times, got to interview him. And, he has that chip on his shoulder. Like, he really does have a chip on his shoulder. Like, they always kind of wear that out, like people having chips on their shoulders.
Yeah.
But that
or
dude really
Anthony
does.
Brown literally having a tattooed chip on his shoulder.
that was kind of weird, a potato chip, and it was like a Pringles too. Like
it was a Lay's.
Lay's.
It was Ruffles. Ruffles
I
has
thought,
ridges.
Are you
That's
sure it was
slogan?
Sure, because it looked all flimsy. You got to get a hard chip. You can't get a flimsy chip. You get what I'm saying? That chip cracks and breaks easy.
I thought it was Ruffles. Either way, it's a weird tattoo.
It's a weird tattoo, and it was skinny and thin. You get a bigger one.
Yes,
but
sir.
I just give Jordan Lewis some more time. Like I said, Woods, I believe he had 11 tackles.
Yes, sir.
He's going to continue to get better. He had the forced fumble. Too bad Jalen Smith wasn't able to pick that up.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there's definitely things that need to be done, tighten up on the defensive end, but I believe they will. I believe it will tighten up, and I feel like the defense is going to be good. But the good thing about the team is you want to have it to where a defense can have not a great game, but you see what the offense did. Maybe the offense doesn't have a not so great game. The team plays us, they have a really good defensive game. Then our defense steps up. People forget last year our defense kept us in quite a bit of games last year when we weren't scoring points. It wasn't like Dallas was scoring points all kind of last year. It wasn't like we were blowing people out the water, scoring 27, 35 points a game. It was those struggle games, 14, 17, 10. We weren't scoring a lot of points. So it was a lot of times it was the defense that was saving the team last year. So it was a good thing to see what the offense came in and was able to do in game one. So now you want to have that good balance, and that's what Dallas has been building since 2010 when they started with Tyron Smith.
Yep.
They started with that offensive line, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, Travis Frederick. They got La'el Collins. They got, remember, Ron Leary. They built that offensive line to say we're going to make sure that we're one in the trenches. Then in 2014, they started tapping with the defense, going with Randy Gregory, DeMarcus Lawrence, those guys. Some of those picks haven't panned out, but they had the theory of what they were trying to do on the defensive side of the ball. So I feel like now that those two elements are coming together, and now this can be a complete team that we want. Do you still have improvements in player positions? Yes. But as a whole, if you look at the other teams in the NFC, Dallas can compete with every team in the NFC, and there's no reason why they can't win and take it and go to the top.
I think so. A couple interesting notes I had as well in the game here, talking about the play calling in particular. A couple stats I wanted to throw out that I saw shared on Twitter. Dan Orlovsky points out the best thing Kellen Moore did for Dak was use all kinds of play action passes on top of it. And on top of it, when and who he used the play action for. So Dak was 14 of 15 on play action Sunday, with 13 of those having Zeke Elliott as the back in the field. And now that's the presence of Zeke, right? Like, he had 13 carries for about 51 yards, I think. That's like 3.9 a pop, a little over. And he had his touchdown of, I think 12 yards on that run, and that was nice. But it's also one of those things where, to the people who think, because of me talking about, my reluctance to pay Zeke super high dollar, first of all, I've already said I think that the contract they got is more agreeable than what the initial picture was looking like. But it's one of those things, too. I'm not anti-Zeke by any means. This stat is one of those reasons I say, if you have Zeke in the backfield, play action's a lot more believable than when you have an unproven Tony Pollard back there. And Pollard, between the tackles, he wasn't anything special Sunday, but I think you also did see a couple times where he was lined up out wide and the ball just didn't go to him. I don't think that's anything about it. I just think there were better targets down the field that were open that Dak had to pick from, in part because of a weak.
The Giants secondary sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And if you're Dak, and if you got freaking Michael Gallup streaking down the field, Dak completed only 48% of his passes to Michael Gallup last year. You and I think, were the biggest proponents of that draft pick, though, for Michael Gallup. And we were like, trust us, this is going to pay off. And now look at it. I mean, he's had a monster preseason, and now he follows that up with 7 targets, 7 completions for what was it? It was I was right that he was going to end up with
like
more
150.
158. Yeah,
158.
I was right that he was going to have more catches and reception yards than Amari Cooper. I predicted that Friday with Law. Now, I was wrong. I thought he'd get a touchdown on one of those, but he did get a 62-yard reception, so I'm not too mad.
If
but
he had that getaway speed, he probably would have had that touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, we were right. He has figured out his chemistry with Dak, it looks like, and you see that deep ball connection. That first dime, that 45-yard completion was just perfection.
And Dak got smacked on that play, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he stood in the pocket. He took the hit. That was one of the 2 times I think New York actually got to him. There was technically another time, but it was on a dead ball thing, so it didn't even count. Yeah, Amari Cooper, 6 for 106, and then Cobb had 4 for 69 and a touchdown. I mean, it's incredible when you give a capable quarterback the system that plays to his strengths and weapons, what he can do. Does he have to go out there and be a Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, or Tom Brady and go out there with mismatched parts every year and make it work? No. I mean, that's the highest that's literally Hall of Fame standards you're setting. But can he be damn capable when you give him good weapons to work with and actually play to his strengths? Yeah. And that's what we're seeing. I think we're seeing, and that's why I even, for this thumbnail of this video, even talked about Dak Prescott has arrived. Like, I think this year, as you were talking about as well, is going to be his true breakout season. And maybe by the end of the year, we'll look back and think differently. But I think everything looks to be in place right now that I think Dak can take the Cowboys somewhere that they haven't been in 24 years, and I'm just saying to a conference championship game. That's about as bold in terms of potential as I'm willing to point right now. I even that feels too out there to me, because normally I would say, hey, if we're not, unless we've already clinched playoffs, I don't even want to talk about playoffs. But I look at what they have in place, the talent on this team, and I see the ability based on the back of last year with improved talent.
Well, like I said, when you got a quarterback's coach who believes in you and really does believe in you, and like I said, Kidney came under Mike Martz. He came under those guys. He came under good offensive minds, and they implanted their philosophies in him, and you can see those philosophies that were implanted in him as a quarterback. He's pushing those out, and one of the things that he was saying that he wanted his quarterbacks to know is, don't be scared to throw the ball. Throw it. Like, if you see it, throw it. It's okay. If you make a mistake, it's all right. You can come back in the huddle. I'll take the bullets. That's what he was saying before, what Mike Martz was telling him. And he's relaying it now to Dak Prescott. And as a quarterback, to me, as a player, and a coach gives you that kind of confidence, it gives you that confidence. You go even on a higher level. And then, like I said, you see the connection with Gallup. When I had been on him from day one, when I saw him before nobody was even talking about him. But when I went to that combine and watched him in that combine, that just really sold me up. He was just one of them players that he always wants to get better. You could see it in him. He was one of those guys that always wanted to get better. He just wants to always get better. A good kid, very hard worker. And you just always saw every game he just get better and better. And now, I mean, like I said, that receiving core gets you very excited. We didn't even talk about Blake Jarwin. He's the giant killer. He had another touchdown again. I would love to see a little bit more speed on the tight end position.
Yep.
But Blake can kill you. He's not the best blocker, but he can kill you in them seams, and he presents a big target. And like I said, the thing to me is really just going to stop the Cowboys, and I don't want to say it loud, is injuries. Keep those things away from us, because I feel like that's the only thing that's stopping us, like a catastrophic type one, because both sides of the ball, I feel like we can compete. And coaching, as you see, is a huge element. Look at Jared Goff. He had Jeff Fisher. They were saying he was a bust. He gets a new coach, McVay. Now look at him. He got $100 million guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? Get extended. So coaching plays a big part in your quarterback. So when we're talking about Dak Prescott and, how come he ain't doing this and how come we doing that? Look at the coaching that he had with him.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now you have a guy that paired him and is more compatible and to seem in playing to more to his strengths. It brings out more of the talent of the quarterback because of good coaching. And one of the last things I want to say on this is the Cowboys, I mentioned this before, have, I think, the most staff with former players.
Yeah.
Throughout the NFL, they have the most players that were former players that are coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's just huge. When you're a player, I played, and even when you coach, players just tend to listen to guys that played the game and not guys kind of who've been there and done that. They just have a little bit more respect for guys that have done it at that high level, and you can see it between Gary Brown. I didn't really talk about him as the addition, but he's a great running back coach, man. He was a beast when he played with the Oilers. I watched him; he was nasty. But him and Zeke have that. That's like his son.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like his son.
I think the only ones they spotlighted on Sunday were on the quarterback side because they spotlighted Garrett, Kitna, Moore, and they even spotlighted the tight ends coach. They didn't mention Gary Brown, but yeah, the Cowboys have a lot of former. I guess in that case they were probably spotlighting specifically former quarterbacks helping Dak, even though one's a tight ends coach, but still, yeah, that's a good call out as well on the Jarwin thing. His 28-yard touchdown catch was actually one of Witten's favorite routes, which Dak commented on after the game, kind of joked about how when he saw what the play call was and he looked around the huddle and realized Witten wasn't there, he was like, oh, he's going to be mad that this is going to be wide open and it's not going to be him catching it. But he got his moment later on for Witten. What's that, 69? I said 69 career touchdown catches for Witten now. He's only 4 away from the franchise leader, Dez Bryant. And obviously with Dez being gone from the team, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Witten actually has a real chance to surpass Dez? I mean, I can't.
He's already got one.
True, but I'm trying to think to his last 2 years. I think the most touchdowns he had in a season over his last 2 years was 4.
4 or 5.
Yeah, something like that. So I don't know.
But here's the difference, though. I mean, we don't know if it's his last year. He says he came, he signed with was it a 2-year deal? It was a 2-year deal.
I think so, but it's basically like a 1 plus if I'm
able. But guess what? If Witten wanted to come back there, let him again.
Oh, sure.
You get what I'm saying?
100%.
So if they want him to get the record, Jason Witten's gonna get the record. Okay.
What I like too is his snap count was 45. It wasn't 60. This isn't like running Witten out there every snap and you see no Blake Jarwin. Like 45 is still high. I'd still like to see a little more Blake Jarwin.
Well, they said, you know what? They giving Kellen Moore. They say Kellen Moore got the reins, and so
okay. So it's his call then on that.
It's his call. I mean, I was watching a little bit of the sidelines. Obviously it's different when you're there at the game, when you're on the sidelines like when we was. But he was. I mean, they were about to do a play, and Witten was like, he looked at Witten. He was like, "What do you want to do?" He was like, "I mean, I can go if you want." He was like. He looked like her. He's like, okay, good. We're gonna run this play right quick, and he threw him out there, and they got the touchdown.
Nice.
So I like that right there, and also I seen Garrett come over there and talk. We always talk about how Garrett never talks to the players. He never comes over to the bench and talks to these guys.
People say he's just the clapper.
Yeah, I saw him being real interjective with Dak Prescott and Kellen Moore. I just feel like Kellen Moore he's brought a lot of enthusiasm back to the team. Everybody loves that he looks like a little kid. You know what I'm saying?
He still gets carded.
You know what I mean? He's still a young as hell. But I just feel like I think the team is really feeling off. He's bringing I don't know what he's bringing. I feel like he's bringing something though.
Yeah.
He's bringing.
He's a year older than me, but looks like he's 10 years younger.
He just seems like he's meticulous in his work. That's why I just feel like I really like him because he just seems like he's meticulous. He doesn't rest on his laurels. And I just feel like what we saw against the Giants, that ain't nothing to what we're going to see later on. When we play these big games and these teams like the Packers and the Saints, I feel like you're going to really see Kellen Moore's mind really show you like, man, this dude is good, man. I feel like he's been prepped for this time. Yeah. He's been prepped in his career for this time. It was no fluke. I watched him at Boise State. You're not a 50-win quarterback being a bum.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And they always said that he always had his own type playbooks. Like he was always in the playbook. Like he had complex things that he was bringing out to the coaches.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
His dad was his high school coach too, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And he said he was always going with his dad, going places, learning new concepts. Every game he would go to was learning. I mean, guys like that just don't come around. They just don't.
Yeah.
They just don't. And when you get a gym, and I feel like we got a gym, and I think as much as we hated on Scott Linehan, that's the one thing we can thank him for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that he brought him over when he came from Detroit. He brought over literally the backup quarterback with him, essentially. Yeah, if that works out. It is one game. We understand that. We're not trying to, like, literally, as Bill Parcells would say, put away the anointing oil for Canton, at least this early. But it is something worth noting that we're going to have to see how Kellen Moore adjusts now, because kind of like how when people want to be critical of Dak and they want to try and undermine his rookie year, they'll say, well, there wasn't really tape on him. Well, now we've seen tape of what a Kellen Moore offense looks like, and not only were the Giants an inferior defense to go against for that, which allowed him to really shine, now we're going to have to see what not just more capable defenses can do, but what defenses with tape of him can do. So there's a long road to go to see, but I do feel, I mean, it's easy to feel optimistic right now, but based on what you were talking about, I do tend to think more likely than not he is going to be up to the challenge, at least to the degree that he can be 70% of what we saw from the offense on Sunday. And if that's the case, that's still better than anything we had with Linehan, and I still think that is good enough to help this team if the defense can get shored up, if the run defense in particular can improve. I think this team as a whole is about as deep and talented as you'll find across the league.
Yeah, and shout out to Nate Carroll. I think he said he was going to bed, so shout out to you. Appreciate you for all your comments. Thank you for being in. Appreciate you. But yeah, like I said, the thing, I'm not sure when the game was over, Scott Linehan was staying till the midnight wee hours thinking of plays, and I just feel like Scott Linehan went home, drank his coffee, and was like, "I'll see y'all in the morning." You know what I'm saying? That's just this got the feeling from that.
He's spiking the coffee.
Yeah, I just feel like with Kellen Moore, you don't see that. I feel like even in this game, he was like, I don't like this, and I didn't like that, and I need to change this, and we need to get better with that. I feel like he is that dude. And I'm not getting hyped up on him because of the one game. This is something I was seeing before. And even when I watched him at Boise State, that's why I felt better as him coming over as a coach in the box, like a coordinator. Like I said, I didn't like him as a quarterback coach. I just feel like he wasn't that dude to be, not saying he wouldn't command the respect, but I just feel like he's more the meticulous guy. Like, I got these plays that I want you to run. John Kitten is that dude that's like, hey, let's get this footwork together. Let me show you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just felt like that was a perfect match. If I keep going back to that match, that's why Dak Prescott is going to be so much better, because they got good match for him coaching wise.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I mean that's what we're gonna have to see with this team. And obviously now they're gonna head to Washington. We're gonna see week 2. Redskins went up 17-0 on the Eagles and ended up losing that game pretty comfortably. I think they are on the rise, but as you mentioned, I think offline, if Jonathan Allen is still day-to-day, that is huge for the Cowboys, because I mentioned that Zeke coming back from his holdout was probably going to start slow. I think for the most part that has been the case. He got 15 total. I mean, he had 2 catches and 13 carries. I know he dropped a catch at one point as well. So I think Zeke ended up with like 36 snaps. That is a little more than I anticipated. I had 25 roughly. But all the same, I think Zeke largely did start slow, and I think the pass game's dominance helped him in the sense that he didn't have to do more than he needed to. And
that's good.
Yeah, that is very good. I don't think he'll have that same luxury against the Redskins, although if Jonathan Allen is out, that does buy him a little bit more wiggle room. So we'll see, but I think they're going to have to lean harder on him. The Cowboys under Kellen Moore had 48% pass play action on the snap. They had 25% on average last year. That is monster difference. For context, I think it was the Rams had the record last year, the highest percentage at 36%. So to go 48 is almost bonkers. I don't think you'll see that high of a percentage. I actually think that could be part of what you see from Kellen Moore in that regard. That's actually better. I think you're going to see a better blend of it all, where you don't see him relying So he's not going to be predictable. I don't think he's.
That's
what
I'm saying. Like you saw what you saw against the Giants. Yeah. What you saw against the Giants, I feel like he's not even gonna come at you like that. Like he is that I feel like he's the diabolical dude. Like, okay, yeah, you saw that, and you was we got this, and we'll watch for this. He gonna come totally different against you. Like I'm gonna show you something that you didn't even see yet. You get what I mean?
Yep.
I feel like that's what he is, and that's what I get excited because the thing we were talking about with Scott Linehan was the predictability. You knew going in what game how we were going to play our offense. You knew how to guard the Dallas Cowboys, how to stop us, how to beat us.
You knew we ran like 73% of the time on first down, first and 10.
I mean, you knew what we were going to do.
Yeah.
If fans are sitting out there calling plays, that's a bad thing.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? When fans are calling it out. So, as I said before, I'm just excited because I feel like you're going to see not to some totally different game plan, but I just feel like what you saw against the Giants, he's not going to bring that same type of thing against the Redskins because he knows they're watching him. So, yeah, you're watching me, I'm watching you, so I'm going to flip. It's just like you're playing a video game, DDP, or you're playing your opponent. You go out and play the same type damn offense in Madden or 2K, you're going to get mashed.
Yep.
Okay, you might get away the first game I played you, but guess what? Now you're running all the time. I'm going to beat you. I know your plays, and you're not going to get any yards. It's the same thing with anything, man.
Yeah, 100%. So as we wrap up the show here, we've been going for about an hour and 5 minutes. James, tell them where they can find your stuff, where they can find your work.
You can check us out, Silver and Blue Nation, Big Game James. Like I said, my Big Game James page is pretty much on Facebook. I pretty much stay right there. I do got the Instagram going, so you can check out our Instagram, Silver and Blue Nation, Big Game James, our Instagram. Don't really worry about my Instagram, but Silver and Blue Nation Instagram, definitely. Our Twitter page is really going good. I got a guy named Ryan Humford. He's really good, goes hard and updating our Silver and Blue Nation page. Shout outs to him for doing that. He's been doing a hell of a job with that. And then, like I said, check us out on YouTube, Facebook. We really going to continue to growing our YouTube page. It has been growing rapidly. We appreciate everybody who's been contributing to that. We've been having our live watch parties. We had this past Sunday. So check out our watch parties. They're fun, exciting. We go hard, we yell, we scream, but we commentate the game. Like we commentated just like those guys. So we're just a little biased because we Cowboys fans. But like I said, check us out. We go hard. I write for the Dallas Prospect. DDP gave me a platform, has some articles out. Go check those. I got to get back on it because it gets exhausting.
It's always a grind, man.
It's a grind, dog. Y'all don't know how hard it is to write. Y'all don't know how hard it is to write them articles. That take a lot of energy.
Yep.
But hey, that's where you can check us out and continue to support. We appreciate you.
Cool. As for my stuff, for those who might not somehow know at this point, and if you're here and you don't know, cool, welcome. But you can check out, obviously, the channel, Dallas Prospect. Hit us up on Facebook. If you want to read my work specifically, you can go to theDallasProspect.com. You can go to ClutchPoints.com. You can go to DallasSportsFanatic.com. I cover Mavericks and Cowboys in particular, but I'm trying to branch out. I'm trying to do a little bit of college football coverage as well, and I'm trying to do a little bit of, I think maybe even this upcoming season, a little bit more Dallas Stars. So broadening my horizons because I am the Dallas Prospect, so it's not fitting unless I cover a broad swath of Dallas sports. So it is what it is. That
sounds like it'd be fun covering some Dallas Stars.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And once you get down here, we'll have this operation up full steam. So,
but and we can't wait for that.
Oh yeah. So, I think that's gonna wrap it for this time, guys. Thank you for those who tuned in. Shout out to Nate Carroll, Miss Scouting Pro. I saw my Cowboys family, Micker45, Brett Bender. Salute to anyone else in there, Eastside Harold. And until
shout out to Eastside Harold.
Yes, sir.
He reps his Texans hard.
Nice. Until next time, guys, remember, every legend was once a prospect. Salute.
Peace.
Yeah. Siege. Riley. Taz. Yeah. Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down to go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake a lawyer? Why no water, that designer, baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real monster lives above them all. Sleeping, that subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come.